So, second laureate reading. I'm going to read half the first chapter from Annie Dunne, which was published in 2002. And it's set not many miles from where I'm sitting now in Moyne, County Wicklow. This book is set in 1959. Annie Dunne is telling the story. And this is what she writes in chapter 1. Oh, Kelce is a distant place, over the mountains from everywhere. You go over the mountains to get there, and eventually through dreams. I can picture the two children in their coats arriving. It is the start of the summer, and all the customs of winter and spring are behind us. Not that those customs are tended to now much. My grandnephew and grandniece, titles that sound like the children of a Russian Tsar. My crab apple tree seems to watch over their coming like a poor man forever waiting for alms with cap in hand. There is a soughing in the beech trees and the ash and the small music of the hens. Shep prances about like a child at a dance with his extra coat of bog muck and the yellow effluents that leak into yards where dogs like to lie. The children's coats are very nice coats, city coats. Their mother does not neglect the matter of coats, whatever else I could say about her. But they are too nice for a farmyard existence. We will wrap them in old brown paper and put them in the small blue cupboard in their room and keep the moths from them as best we can. I heard the children like little calves through the lower leaf of the half door and into the beautiful glooms of the kitchen. The big sandwiches lie on the scrubbed table, poised like buckled planks on blue and white plates. Words are spoken, and I sense the great respect Sarah has for their father, Trevor, my fine nephew, magnificent in his bohemian green suit, his odd English-sounding name, his big red beard and his sleeked black hair like a Parisian intellectual, good-looking, with deep brown angry eyes. He is handing her some notes of money to help us bring the children through the summer. I am proud of her regard for him, and proud of him because in the old days of my sister's madness, I reared him. My poor sister Maud, that in the end could do little but gabble nonsense. The great enterprise now with Trevor and the children's mother is to cross the sea to London and see what can be done. There are only stagnant pools of things to tempt him here in his own country. There is nothing. He has trained himself up by a scholarship, and I can smell the smell of hope in him, the young man's coat. But his hope is proficient and true. I have no doubt that he will find himself and his care a place to lodge and fetch about him and gain employment. He has his grandfather's wholeness of purpose, who rose from a common police recruit to be the chief superintendent of B Division in Dublin, the capital of the whole country. His father, Matt, Maud's husband, who as good as threw me from the house when finally she died, may drag his polished boots every morning from that rented house in Donnybrook to the savage margins of Ringsend, where he teaches painting and drawing to children who would as much like to learn as to eat earwigs. Back and forth on that black bike with its winter lamp and ineffectual bell, thinking only of the summer when he can paint the midgy beauties of Wicklow, cursing his fate. But Trevor has the strength and purpose of another generation with his red beard. He is kissing the children's heads now and saying goodbye, be good, see you in a few months. Every day I will write to you, says the little boy, which is comical since he is too young to know his writing. But the father is not listening to the son. He is staring away into nowhere, distracted, no doubt, by all the things he has to do, the arrangements, the tickets, the prayers that I think will rise up unbidden, though I know he professes to be a godless man, one of those modern types that would make me fearful if it was not him. Every day, says the boy emphatically. I am going to press flowers for you all summer in my autograph album, says the little girl. There won't be anyone to write their names in it down here. Look after yourselves in London, I say to him, and you need not for a moment worry about the children. You will have enough to do setting yourselves up. As soon as everything's in place, we'll send for them, Trevor says. Thank you, Auntie Anne. It's an enormous help. It's no trouble, God knows. We are lucky to have them. Don't spoil them, he says. We will not, but we will look after them certainly. Good, Trevor says, and kisses my cheek, and away with him out into the paltry sunlight. He doesn't look back, though the children rush to the door. Come in now, I say, in case they're going to miss their father loudly, like the knobs on a wireless suddenly turned up. And we'll show you your beds, and you can put your bits and bobs in the drawers, and we'll be ship-shape. We hear, all of us, Sarah and me and the little ones, the car reversing out of the rough yard and out again onto the green road to Kiltegan. He will not go home by the Glen of Imal because he fears the rutted tracks, and rightly. Oh, it is some other older year still in those lonesome districts. No calendar there says 1959. Sarah and me scrubbed out the old room, I say gently. For a moment they are stuck like beasts in the gap between two fields. When you're not here with us, this old room goes to cobwebs, though it got a mighty spring clean with the rest of the premises just in April. I limed the walls, so don't lean your nice clothes on them, or you'll be getting streaks, and the fire is lit these 2 days, and the mattresses are aired as you'd like. The room is bleak, the room is bare. A tiny hill of brown turf with seams of garnet fire steams in the grate. The window is as small as an owl and frames the lower clutter of the ash tree outside, the big, fierce hair of thin branches that grows up from the root. The fireplace is a hole with a thin strip of painted iron for a mantelpiece. Nothing ticks in that room. The big clock is in the kitchen. Are the mice still above us, Auntie Anne? The boy asks, and I can sense him make the leap, the little leap to us. He calls me Auntie Anne like his father, I notice, though in truth I am his great-aunt. It is like a compliment. The mice, I say absently, inserting their small supply of clothes into the drawers, smelling of mothballs and the dry, small bones of herbs in a tight net. I feel relief, like a luxury, like a strip of chocolate. This house was never without mice. Now, I say, when the clothes are nestled in properly, you're a Wicklow people now, and this is your nest, and it's nice to have nestlings again in the nest. I hope you won't put too great a strain on old bones. Come back out to the kitchen and eat. They don't know anything about old bones. They follow me into the kitchen dutifully. All of the world is new, and very little, if any of it, is ugly to them. Nothing is old. They do not know anything about the exhaustion of minding children. Towards the end of the day, these times I go slower and slower, like a bad clock. My movements lessen, and I reach across gaps with parsimonious, expensive energy. Even my words stretch longer. I feel a sudden fear that we are too old to guard these little ones. 100 tasks, and now 2 creatures as vigorous as steam engines. But the fear passes, and my sense is only of the deepest pleasure, the deepest anticipation. 2 small children in a small country kitchen wolfing the enormous sandwiches. The flagstones underfoot polished to an impressive green darkness. The dresser against the wall beside the door to my and Sarah's bedroom, which looms at your back when you sit by the fire. All the pride of our Delph is there, simple objects enough, the chipped items retired to the topmost shelf. Long strips of notched wood hold the plates from falling. There are but 2 books there, both thick and wrapped in dark brown paper, my father's family Bible and his complete works of William Shakespeare, side by side like a set of twins. The lights in the room are always evening lights. These are important matters. I was afraid of the sandwiches, says the boy, eating fiercely. Why? Because of your butter. Well, there is no butter on them, I say tenderly. I would not take offence at a little boy. We were careful, Sarah and I, not to put butter on the bread. Our country butter has no salt, and the children will need a few days to get used to it. We were fearful they would reject the sandwiches and all the work that went into them. Sarah seems to loom a little up the top of the kitchen in the shadows, and there are many shadows. She is like a person not used to houses, strangely, but a creature from out of doors, a hare, a bittern. But her face is smiling, beaming. She keeps turning her head like a lighthouse engine and shines her yellow smile down on the children. Her head is a mass of powdery white hair, whereas mine is a mute grey, and she smells of something not unpleasant but difficult to identify, not sweet or perfumed. It may be the starch in her blouses under the forgiving blue and white overdress. It may be the very starched nature of her own skin, kept scrubbed and soaped by means of a daily washdown at her jug and basin in the bedroom. There is nothing in the house that we have not scrubbed. She is not beautiful in any accepted book of beauty, but she is appealing, covetable. She is also thin and so seems tall like many of her family, and to the children she must seem almost endless. She goes up and only ends in the clouds of her hair. Her mother and my mother were sisters, but I do not think a stranger would see a resemblance. For 7 generations, my family were the stewards on the Humewood estate, and hers were the coppicers, when coppicing was still a trade. If wooden staves from foreign parts had not become the fashion, the hazelwoods so combed and cut by Sarah's grandsires might still be scenes of dexterity and expertise. And but that my father was not inclined to the land, he might have followed a similar course and never left these districts, and saved himself a lot of trouble later. Such things bind us, Sarah and me, though more truly it was necessities, economies, that carried me back here to her. I was happy with my lot in Dublin, with Maud and Matt rearing the 3 boys, but that's all history now. Time runs on and has no width. Those small boys are men, and Maud is dead. Oh, we are blessed in the company of these children. It is our chance. It isn't that we don't know it. A glee suffuses us like beaten egg whites folded into sugar.